Alright everybody, and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be taking a look at my top 5 personal picks, houses that I enjoyed the most over the 2022 season. Let's get into it!
Bring in the holidays. You're watching Villages and More.
Okay, so I'm not going to waste any time today. These will be my top 5 picks. These are houses from both the Christmas season and the Halloween season. I've been thinking about doing this video for months, and of all the releases that came out this year, and there was a bunch from Lemax, these were the top 5. Probably some of the hardest I've ever had to narrow down because there was so many to pick from, but they were just fantastic. So without further ado, starting at number 5, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Lemax, That's a Wrap, Mummy Mortuary. That's right, and there's gonna be pics on here, you're gonna be like, what am I thinking? But let me explain. This house, yes, it's a classic lit house. There's not any animation, no soundtrack, nothing like that. The magic in this house is the bang for your buck aspect. This thing in person was so much cooler than it looked on the picture, and it looked pretty awesome on the picture. But think about this too. We haven't seen Egyptian themed stuff in such a long time, and if you've been a classic collector through all the classic years, you know how cool that stuff was. So finally, after all these years, to get something like this was absolutely awesome. And what just struck me the most was the price. It was a real bang for your buck, especially with the coupons. It was just unheard of. This, being a classically lit house, had detail for days, and in person I can't tell you enough how cool it was. It had an eerie glow. The face really added just this weird feel to it, very spooky, and this was definitely going to be on my list. Again, no animation, no soundtrack, but bang for your buck, no question about it. So that's number 5, That's a Wrap, Mummy Mortuary. Okay, coming in at number 4 is the Lemax, Last Ditch Gas and Salvage. This one is really neat, okay? And if you were a fan of the Wasteland Pub, if you remember that one, this one is kind of in that same vein. I love all the metal work on this one. The torches were awesome and they pulsed, and there was even some accessories that you could buy that go with this house. There was like I think like a person or something, and then there was a tow truck, and the tow truck was just phenomenal. Okay, so if you got this, definitely look into getting that tow truck. But nonetheless, this house was unique. Again, it was like the Wasteland Pub. It didn't have any familiarity as far as other houses that have been in the past. It was kind of its own unique place, and that for me set this one apart. And look, you know, for the price, you got quite a bit. Okay, so but not every house is going to be the biggest bang for your buck, obviously, but nonetheless, as far as adding something unique to your village, this was a beautiful placement for that. You know, all the houses, you know, especially in Spooky Town, are scary, and they all, you know, have a certain feel to them, and it's great, and they're unique and all that stuff. But this one just set itself apart. It was just completely different, and for me, that unique aspect is what sold me on spot number 4. So that's the Last Ditch Gas and Salvage. I absolutely dig this one, and if you haven't had a chance to check it out, definitely do it and look into those accessories that you can get with it as well. Okay, coming in at number 3 is the Lemax, Santa's Free Zone. This one is cool. It's a carnival ride. You know, it has a lot of lighting. It's all blue, but it fits the theme because it's going to be cold, right? Very cold. It's a free zone. So they really held tight to the theme on this house, which I liked. This, however, was probably the most expensive house ever released by Lemax. If it's not, it's right up there, but I'm pretty sure it was, at least when it came out. There's been coupons and stuff since, so you know, keep that into account. You know, for that kind of money, you're gonna want everything possible. And this one here took a really good shot at that. It's got sound, it's got lights, it's got crazy cool animation, and the height on this thing is pretty incredible. So it's not the widest house in the world, but as far as the height, you put this in your village, like I displayed it this year, it sticks out. There's just no question about it. And if you have one of those like old school mountains, you know, that Lemax used to make, I think retired recently, actually. Anyways, if you have one of those, you put that on there. It really even helps drive home that freeze height kind of theme, way up in the mountains kind of theme. This one is phenomenal. The only downfall is that I think this one is going to be prone to issues. You know, there's a lot that makes this drop work, you know, everything from micro switches, etc. So there's a lot that kind of makes this thing happen, you know, with the lights and all these kinds of things. And there's been some reports of it having some issues, unfortunately. But if you can get one that is working and everything is well with it, it is just a phenomenal addition to your village. I mean, this was definitely no question going to be displayed in my village this year, which you'll see in my Christmas 2022 village. I love it. I did put it on one of those little mountain things, and it just brings a lot of joy. You know, I've never been huge into collecting the carnival pieces, but I'm starting to get more and more into it. And this is definitely one that you're going to pay for if you're going to get it. There's just no question. However, I do think that long term, the value on this is going to skyrocket. I think this is going to be one of those houses that people are always going to want. It looks cool. The soundtrack is awesome. The fall is even cooler. And, you know, I just believe that long term there's some value there. So if you're one of those people that, you know, think about the long term investment on these pieces as well, then this is going to be a great choice for you too. So there it is. That's the Santa's Free Zone. Absolutely a beautiful piece from the 22 season. Okay, pick number 2. It is the Lemax Bat Bonanza. That's right. This thing is crazy. And I remember when I got the early release, you know, pamphlet, if you will, of the stuff that was to come, and I saw this one, I begged Lemax to please let me review this house. I knew it was going to be a big hit. This thing was everything I thought it was going to be. This could have been my number 1 pick, no question, but wait till you see that. So the number 2 Bat Bonanza here is huge. The footprint on this thing was phenomenal. And what's really cool about this is the animation is great. The lighting was awesome. All that stuff was cool, but because of how big it was, there was a lot of detail to feel, and Lemax did not let you down. They literally, every single piece of this thing was time, effort, and just perfect. I love the Bat Bonanza. I definitely displayed it this year. And look, the bat theme is just cool anyway. You have like a little Dracula looking guy in the middle there. He spins as well. I mean, this was cool. It wasn't cheap, but it was really, really just a phenomenal carnival ride for your Spooky Town village. So I love this one. I can't brag enough about it. It's definitely one of my favorites, and I think it might even be one of my all-time favorites just in general as well. It's up there on my list somewhere, but this one is cool. It definitely had to be on today's list, and the number 2, it definitely could have been number 1, but ladies and gentlemen, the Bat Bonanza is just a perfection when it comes to Halloween carnival rides. Okay, so before we get to number 1, I want to give a honorable mention. Okay, this one was actually on my list, but I had to cut it to make room for other things. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Lemax Zombie Wedding Party. Yes, figures. I know. So here's the thing about this. It didn't get any hype at all. It wasn't talked about on groups, things like that. It was just something that was there. It wasn't pushed in any which way. And I think a lot of people stayed away from it because they could get just normal figures for half the price. So why would they pay a little bit more for a set of figures? It just didn't really add up. I'll tell you why. I took the risk. I actually shot a review for this. It never came out because I lost the footage, so I will again review it and put it back out. But here's the thing. It's absolutely going to blow your mind when you see this thing in person. The scaling is awesome. There's a lot of detail, and there's so many different pieces that can be arranged in so many different ways. And it feels kind of realistic, to be honest with you. The amount of detail that they put into each and every figure, it's really not like a normal figure set, or figures in general. It's just different. That's the only way I can explain it to you. It's different. Yeah, yes, it's a wedding, so where are you going to put it? I get that too. But at the same point, it's just really nice, guys. It really, I'm telling you, if you haven't had a chance to see this thing in person, just give it a shot. It's going to surprise you how good it looks in person. It's kind of like the Mummy Mortuary where the picture was cool, but in person it was like, wow. Yeah, this is right up there with that. So it was on my list. I had to cut it to make room for, other obvious choices, but I wanted to throw this in there because it didn't get much hype this year, and I was so blown away. I'm looking forward to reviewing it for a second time to finally get it out for the first time. So anyways, there it is. That is the Lemax Zombie Wedding Party. Okay, so the moment we have all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, my number one pick is the Lemax Birch Creek Ice Fishing Festival. Oh boy, okay, so the Ice Fishing Festival is probably one of the only pieces in my life that I ever saw and actually got a little emotional about. And it was for no particular reason other than the fact that it was so beautiful. And the theme was cool, it's kind of unique as well. But the lighting and the way that the figures were moving, not a lot of aggressive movement, but they were actually fishing. The poles, the fish were going up and down, the water wheel, the ducks. It just actually made me a little emotional. Like, it actually grabbed me. I've never had that happen really with a house before in that way. Like, this thing is, not only is it huge and has a beautiful footprint, but this is worth every single penny it's asked for. It has a cool soundtrack as well, but it's the visual on this thing that blows your mind. I mean, they even have a photographer there that, like, it actually flashes and it looks like he's really taking a photo of the catch of the day. The signs are cool. There's a lot of them, by the way. The little bait sign moves, it spins around. I mean, there is really a lot going on here. And personally, as expensive as it was, I think it was probably worth even more. This will too be another piece, no question, that over time skyrockets in value. So get it while you can, because this, just trying to put words about this piece together is even hard for me. I know it's weird. I'm emotional about this piece, but that's how beautiful it is. I displayed it in my Christmas Village this year. You'll see it in the Christmas Village 22 video that's coming out, or maybe out by the time you see this, I don't know. But either way, this was no question my number one pick. It just grabbed me. It's stunning, it's big, it's got a soundtrack, lots of lighting, and beautiful animation, but nothing too aggressive. Like, I don't look for this one to have too many problems. Of course, it has animation, so I'm sure there's going to be some out there that will, but nothing too crazy. It's very subtle work. But put it all together, and you have Christmas magic inside of a Lemax box. That's exactly what they're selling you here. It's not just a house, it's Christmas magic. This is one of those houses, you set it out, Christmas has arrived. I've never seen Christmas magic sold in a box before, but if it ever was, this is it. So there it is. That is my number one pick, Birch Creek Ice Fishing Festival. Those are my top fives. Let me know in the comments below. Did I miss something? Would you have picked something different? This is just personally what grabbed me. It was hard to narrow them all down. I know there was a lot of them out there that would have been great on this list, but for now, for where things set at the end of 2022, this is my list. I thank you all so much for another wonderful year. It's just been phenomenal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And as always, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.